Welcome to the Daily English Learning Podcast.
Hello to all our wonderful listeners tuning in from around the world, and welcome back to another heartwarming episode of the Daily English Learning Podcast, where we explore the most important aspects of human life through clear and natural conversation. I am your host, Olivia, and I am absolutely delighted to be joined once again by my very good friend and colleague, Martin.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for welcoming us into your headphones or speakers today for another deep discussion about life and language. I am feeling particularly happy today because we are going to talk about a topic that is the foundation of happiness for so many people, including myself.
That is absolutely right, Martin, because today's episode is entirely dedicated to friendship and social relationships. We are going to explore what makes a good friend, how friendships change as we get older, and the challenges of making new friends as an adult.
They say that friends are the family we choose, and I think that is a beautiful way to describe these special bonds. Whether you have a huge circle of acquaintances or just 2 or 3 very close best friends, social connections are vital for our mental health and overall well-being.
Exactly, and throughout this episode, we will be sharing some personal stories, discussing the difference between online friends and real-life friends, and giving you plenty of useful vocabulary to describe the people in your life.
As always, for the benefit of our listeners and to ensure high audio quality, Olivia and I will be speaking in full, complete, and descriptive sentences. This will help you understand the flow of English grammar and avoid any confusion.
So let's get started on this journey into the world of friendship. Martin, are you ready to be honest about what kind of friend you really are?
That is a challenging question to start with, Olivia, but to answer it, I think we first need to define what a good friend actually is. In your opinion, what are the most essential qualities that you look for when you are choosing a friend?
For me, the most important quality above everything else is definitely honesty. I need a friend who will tell me the truth, even when it is difficult to hear, rather than someone who just tells me what I want to hear to make me feel better.
I completely agree with you on honesty, but I would also add reliability to the top of the list. I really value friends who actually do what they say they are going to do. If we make a plan to meet for coffee at 3 p.m., I expect them to be there, not to cancel 5 minutes before.
Oh, reliability is huge. There is nothing more frustrating than a flaky friend Simone who is unreliable and constantly changes plans. I also think a good sense of humor is vital because life can be stressful, and I want friends who can make me laugh until my stomach hurts.
Laughter is definitely the glue that holds many friendships together. I also think that a good friend is a good listener. In our modern world, everyone loves to talk about themselves, but it is rare to find someone who genuinely listens to your problems without interrupting or checking their phone.
That is such a valid point. A supportive friend listens to understand, not just to reply. Do you think that you possess these qualities yourself, Martin? Are you the kind of reliable and honest friend that you want others to be?
I try my very best to be reliable, although I must admit that I am sometimes bad at replying to text messages quickly. I might read a message and think, I will reply to that later, and then completely forget about it for 3 days, which can be annoying for my friends.
At least you are self-aware enough to admit your faults. I think I am a very loyal friend, meaning that once you are my friend, I will always be on your side and defend you, even if we haven't seen each other for a long time.
Speaking of time, let's talk about the difference between childhood friends and the friends we make as adults. Do you still have any friends from your primary school days? Or have you lost touch with most of them?
I actually have one very close friend named Sarah, whom I have known since we were 5 years old. It is a very unique relationship because she knows everything about my history, my family, and all the embarrassing things I did when I was a teenager.
That is incredible. Having a friend with that much shared history is like having a living diary of your life. I unfortunately lost touch with most of my childhood friends because my family moved to a different city when I was 12, so I had to start over and make new connections.
That must have been difficult, but do you think that childhood friendships are different from adult friendships? I feel like childhood friendships are based on proximity. You are friends because you live on the same street or go to the same school.
You are absolutely right. As children, we make friends with whoever is nearby and willing to play. But as adults, our friendships are based much more on shared values, interests, and intellectual compatibility. We choose people who see the world in a similar way to us.
However, I think making friends as an adult is significantly harder than it was when we were kids. When you are young, you are thrown into a classroom with 30 other people your age. But as an adult, you really have to make an effort to go out and meet new people.
It is definitely harder because everyone is so busy with their jobs, their partners, and their families. It takes a lot of energy to build a new friendship from zero. You have to go through that awkward small talk phase before you can really become comfortable with someone.
That awkward phase is the worst. You worry about whether they like you or if you are texting them too much. It is almost like dating, but without the romantic element.
Once you have made a friend, the real work begins, maintaining the friendship. Olivia, are you good at keeping in touch with people who live far away, or are you guilty of letting friendships drift apart?
I have to be honest and say that I am not the best at digital communication. I prefer seeing people face to face, so when my friends move to different cities, I struggle to keep the connection strong just through messages and video calls.
I think that is very common. Relationships are like plants. If you don't water them regularly with attention and communication, they will eventually wither and die. But technology has made it easier in some ways. Seeing a friend's Instagram story makes you feel connected even if you don't talk directly.
That is true, but sometimes social media gives us a false sense of connection. We think we know how our friend is doing because we saw a photo of their lunch, but we don't actually know how they are feeling emotionally. I try to make a rule to actually call my long-distance friends at least once a month.
That is a very good rule. I have a group of friends from university, and we have a group chat on WhatsApp that is active almost every single day. Even if we just send silly memes or jokes, it keeps the dynamic alive so that when we do meet up, it feels like no time has passed.
Group chats can be a lifesaver for maintaining a social circle, but what happens when you grow apart from a friend? Have you ever had a friendship breakup where you realized you didn't have anything in common anymore?
Yes, sadly I have. There was a friend I used to be very close with, but as we got older, our values changed. He became very negative and critical, while I was trying to be more positive and ambitious. Eventually, spending time with him became draining rather than energizing, so I had to distance myself.
That is a very painful but necessary process. Sometimes people come into our lives for a specific season or reason, and it is okay to let them go when that season is over. You shouldn't hold on to a friendship just out of guilt or nostalgia if it is making you unhappy.
This brings us to the age-old debate, quality versus quantity. Olivia, would you rather have 50 casual acquaintances who you can party with, or 3 incredibly close friends who would help you hide a body, metaphorically speaking, of course?
I love that metaphor. Without a doubt, I would choose the 3 close friends. As an introvert, I find large groups of people quite exhausting. I prefer having deep, meaningful conversations with one person rather than superficial small talk with 20 people at a party.
I am mostly the same, although I think there is value in having a wider network of acquaintances. These are the people you might play football with or colleagues you chat with at work. They provide a sense of community and belonging, even if you don't tell them your deepest secrets.
That is a fair point. We need different friends for different purposes. You might have a gym friend who motivates you to exercise, a work friend who understands your office stress, and a best friend who knows everything about your soul. It is unfair to expect one person to be everything for you.
Exactly. Putting all that pressure on one person can actually damage the relationship. It is healthy to have a diverse social circle. But I do think that as we get older, our circle naturally gets smaller because we have less tolerance for drama and fake relationships.
I have definitely noticed that my patience for drama has disappeared completely. In my 20s, I tolerated toxic behavior because I wanted to be popular. But now in my 30s, I prioritize peace and kindness above everything else.
So, for our listeners who might be feeling a bit lonely or wanting to expand their social circle, what advice would you give for making new friends?
My biggest piece of advice is to join a club or a group based on a hobby. If you join a hiking club, a book club, or a language class, you immediately have something in common with the other people there. It removes the pressure of thinking of something to say.
That is excellent advice because shared activity is the best icebreaker. I also think volunteering is a great way to meet kind-hearted people. If you volunteer at an animal shelter or a food bank, you are likely to meet people who share your values of helping others.
Another tip is to be the one who initiates the plans. Don't wait for other people to invite you. Be brave and say, "Hey, I'm going to check out this new coffee shop on Saturday. Would you like to join me?" The worst thing they can say is no.
And if they say no, don't take it personally, they might just be busy. Fear of rejection stops so many people from making connections. You have to be willing to be a little bit vulnerable to build a bridge to another person.
I also think it is important to be open-minded. Your new best friend might not look like you or be the same age as you. Some of my most interesting friendships are with people who are 20 years older than me because they have so much wisdom to share.
Intergenerational friendships are wonderful. I have a neighbor who is 70 years old and we have coffee together once a week. He tells me stories about the past and I help him with his computer problems. It is a mutually beneficial relationship. Before we finish, Olivia, I want to ask you about the concept of a best friend. Do you believe in having just one best friend? Or can you have multiple best friends?
I think the term best friend can be a bit limiting, almost like a playground rule. I prefer to think of it as an inner circle of close friends. I have maybe 3 people I would call if I was in a crisis, and they are all equally important to me in different ways.
I like the inner circle concept. It feels more inclusive. My definition of a best friend is someone you can sit in a room with in complete silence, and it doesn't feel awkward. You don't need to entertain each other. You are just happy to be in each other's presence.
That is a beautiful definition. It is about comfort and safety. To summarize our conversation today, friendship is vital. It requires effort to maintain. Honesty is key, and it is never too late to make a new connection.
And to our listeners, we want to be your friends in language learning. We hope you feel a connection with us as you listen to these episodes.
Absolutely. Learning a language is also a social activity. Using English allows you to make friends with people from all over the world, which is the greatest gift of all.
We have covered a lot of ground today, and I think we used some fantastic vocabulary related to relationships. Let's take a few minutes to explain the most important terms before we say goodbye.
I will start with the word acquaintance. We used this several times. An acquaintance is someone you know a little bit, but who is not a close friend. It might be a neighbor or someone you see at work, but you wouldn't invite them to your birthday party.
That is a very useful distinction. My first phrase is to drift apart. When friends drift apart, it means they slowly become less close over time, usually because they live in different places or have different interests. It is a natural process, not necessarily a fight.
Next, I want to highlight the word reliable. A reliable person is someone you can trust to do what they say they will do. If a friend is reliable, they will not let you down. The opposite is unreliable or flaky.
Speaking of flaky, that is a great slang word. If someone is flaky, they frequently cancel plans at the last minute or forget to show up. It is a very negative trait in a friend.
We also talked about fair weather friend. Although we didn't use the exact phrase in the dialogue, we described the concept. A fair weather friend is someone who is only your friend when things are going well. Good weather, but disappears when you have problems, bad weather.
I use the term icebreaker. An icebreaker is something, like a hobby or a question, that relieves tension and starts a conversation between people who don't know each other. Joining a club is a great icebreaker.
Then there is inner circle. Your inner circle is the small group of your closest, most trusted friends and family members. These are the VIPs, very important people of your life.
And finally, to keep in touch. This means to maintain contact with friends, usually through messages, calls, or visits. If you don't keep in touch, you might lose the friendship.
Those are wonderful words to add to your social vocabulary. We hope you can use them the next time you talk about your friends.
Thank you so much for being part of our inner circle of listeners today. We appreciate your time and attention.
Maybe send this episode to a friend and use it as a reason to start a conversation.
Great idea. Have a wonderful week, connect with someone you care about, and see you next time.
Goodbye, everyone.